providing an environment that people want to stay in is a really big part of supporting people more broadly and women into the industry. So I've seen a real change even in that 20 years. We're incredibly passionate about sustainability and also diversity, equity and inclusion, and being inclusive for everybody and for the benefit of everybody.
Hi everyone, it's Akansha Dimri, the founder and editor-in-chief of Tech Funding News. We are a London-based news media outlet which covers startups, scale-ups, and today we are actually at IFGS 2025 and talking to the power players of the UK fintech scene. And we are very excited to have with us Emma Hagen, who is the UK CEO of ClearBank. Wow! Thank you for taking our time for us. And how are you doing?
I am doing good, enjoying the conference so far.
That's lovely. What's the most interesting part you have found so far in the conference?
I think we've still got some of the exciting things to come, particularly around some of the keynote speeches.
I know. We all are waiting for that one. But Emma, it would be lovely if you could just give us a span of your career, which has been so interesting, and could introduce yourself to our readers and also the viewers.
Yeah. So I'm currently the UK CEO for ClearBank, and ClearBank is the first clearing bank founded in over 250 years. We serve primarily financial institutions through clearing and also through our embedded banking proposition. And through that we have over 250 financial institutions that work with us today, and also over 1 million indirect customers through our embedded banking proposition, consumers and SME. I've actually been at ClearBank for nearly 5 years now. I joined originally as the Chief Risk Officer, and prior to that I was at Silicon Valley Bank for 10 years, where I helped launch the UK bank for Silicon Valley Bank, but also had a broader role in terms of EMEA risk management and spent some time in the US. And before that I was at Lloyd's HBOS, where I started my career.
Oh, that's lovely. That's a very good variety of different kinds of bank, like traditional, startup, and now ClearBank. So tell us about ClearBank a bit more. How did it start? Who were the founders, and how did this idea come up?
So it was founded a few years ago now. It actually went live as a bank.
Which year was that?
2017 was the year it got licensed fully in as a bank and launched in the UK market. So obviously it was a couple of years in the works before that. And it was really founded with a view. At the time, there were only kind of a small number of incumbent clearing banks, and it was all on legacy tech. And that means that innovators in the market, financial institutions like startup banks and the challenger bank community that was growing then, EMIs and payment institutions, were building kind of their platforms on new tech, trying to provide a different client experience, more seamless user experience, faster payments. And then they were hit with this legacy tech. And so ClearBank was really founded at the fact that those companies should get something better and something different. And hence ClearBank was born, kind of the first cloud-native, API, technology-driven bank that focused on supporting that financial institution environment, so that they can experience kind of seamless, real-time payments, can really focus on their innovation rather than kind of being constrained by legacy tech. As I say, we've worked on that through our clearing proposition, where we provide accounts and payment solutions to access all the UK payment systems indirectly to people like Alica Bank and Oak North and Coinbase. And so it's really exciting brands. And then on the other side, embedded banking, where we partner with financial institutions like Tide and Chick and Raisin and embed a bank account into their front-end user experience. So that allows them to compete with the bigger kind of banks out there, but without actually having to become a bank themselves. They can focus on the broader kind of experience for their clients, whilst leaving the infrastructure, the banks and the technology part of connecting to the payment schemes to us.
So you're basically the holy grail of the embedded finance banks.
I'd like to think so. Let's hope so.
Yes, and I just want to understand, who are your customers? Like, are your customers via the banks, or are you the SaaS behind everything?
So we think of ourselves as an infrastructure bank, so kind of the partnering on is kind of like a SaaS style, but with a banking license as well, which makes us pretty unique, we think. So we partner with everyone from kind of pre-regulated companies going through the authorization process right up to big enterprise clients. And that's banks, e-money firms, payment institutions, digital asset companies. So pretty much that whole remit of financial institutions that have historically been underserved by the existing options via clearing. And obviously bringing that then with the embedded banking, where we're kind of the largest at-scale player in the UK right now.
That's lovely. And I think that is a very important sector in fintech right now also, which needs some transformation and revolution, I would say. So could you talk me through your funding so far? And is there a valuation that you're talking about, or any numbers you could give us on the last funding round?
So we're a private company, so we don't typically focus on our valuation. We focus more about ambition and driving growth and supporting the kind of fintech community at large through our proposition. But we did receive some funding about 2 or 3 years ago now from APAC's 175 million, and that sat alongside our existing investor base, but was really there to invest in the future in terms of driving more product enhancement in the UK bank, also supporting us with our EU bank, which we were really pleased to see got a license and is now open as a business in the Netherlands. That really fueled that investment for us. That was a pretty great moment for us in terms of securing the investment, and we are now profitable, which is great. For the second year running in 2024, we had another full year of profitability, so we're kind of able to fund ourselves in terms of future growth.
So I really want to know more about the profitability which you announced, and if there are some figures that you should like to share about your ARR.
Yeah, so we saw a lot of growth in 2023 and 2024. That's continued. The UK bank remains profitable, which was kind of our core sustainable growth. But we also saw a lot of growth in our fee income revenue, which was up significantly from last year's, and kind of in total about 109 million of total revenue across the board, split between kind of fee and net interest income. So that for us was a really great moment to be able to build on the success of 2023. But I think also importantly, we saw growth in transaction volumes, in customer deposits, which grew from around 6 billion in 23 up to over 10 billion in 2024, and has continued to grow. And again, that's the success of our embedded banking proposition that's really come to play as we bring on more clients and more products into the market. But we've been really proud to be able to build on that success. And as we continue to invest in the EU, we're looking for that to continue and the EU bank to become profitable as well over time.
That's amazing. Congratulations for that. And also, I would love to get an idea of your competitors in the market right now. Are they the UK fintech banks, or are they the embedded finance category, or how is it?
We tend to focus on our own growth rather than competition, but I think one of the things we are starting to see is people looking to compete in the same space as us. I think that's really a testament to the business model working. When we started all those years ago, we were the only ones doing what we were doing. We were kind of the first big embedded banking player. And so now we see a few competitors in the market starting up, which again can only be a good thing in terms of building on the success and providing more support to that FI community that has so historically been underserved.
So we all know that right now the UK funding landscape is facing a lot of crunch. So what do you think, is it going to improve in the future, and what are the challenges right now for a normal fintech which is existing in the market?
I think where we've been focusing a lot of our effort is there's an enormous amount of support for startups now in the UK, which there wasn't a few years ago. And so some of both the regulatory initiatives in terms of supporting new business models through the FCA's kind of sandbox initiative and other initiatives going on have really helped firms to get authorised and figure it out quicker and be able to do that in a supportive environment. So that part's been great. And where we're focusing a lot of our effort now is, I'll call it the desert that happens in scale-up territory. So you can move out of startup phase, and then in some respects the support disappears a bit. So how do we help great startups as a fintech community scale up really effectively and make sure that kind of both the policy and the regulatory regime and then the access to funding really supports that community between that startup into kind of that bigger global player. And that's kind of where we've been focusing a lot of effort in our work, like I say, with government and regulators to help that not only for the benefit of ClearBank, but actually for the benefit for the whole community.
Yeah, that's true as well. And what I want to understand over here are what are the challenges when it comes to the financial inclusion. That is a very important topic for a fintech in the UK or Europe or even globally. How do you keep that into mind when actually selecting your customers or your data?
So it is a very important topic for us. We're incredibly passionate about sustainability and also diversity, equity and inclusion and being inclusive for everybody and for the benefit of everybody. And we do this a lot through different ways. One of them, for example, some of our clients we partner with are focused on trying to improve inclusion. So for example, we partner with PayPoint, which has helped in some of the closures around access to benefit payments, speeding up that process. And the other part is really through our embedded banking proposition. So many of our embedded banking clients are kind of trying to make finance easier, be it through simpler user experience, simpler terminology, everything that kind of helps people engage more actively kind of in financial services. So removing some of those barriers that might make it feel a little bit intimidating to people, and that's kind of where we focus a lot of effort in trying to help power that through the infrastructure that we provide. And the embedded banking bit means that they can focus really heavily on that, and we can help provide the services, and together we can bring something quite different to the market that helps improve financial inclusion for all.
Yeah, because I just feel that financial inclusion is a very important factor, especially in embedded finance and SMEs for that matter.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And that's where we're really proud of things like our partnership with Tide, where SMEs can get access to a current account embedded with lots of services that Tide offer. And we serve over 12% of the SME current account market through that proposition. So it really is connecting now into something that is a real choice for people that helps them in terms of how they access that, particularly for SME startup businesses that might struggle kind of interacting in a less digital experience in a more traditional environment. And so we're able to provide that through Tide.
This makes me think also that AI is a very important topic for fintech right now. So how is ClearBank actually integrating or not? And how are you taking care of AI washing as it were?
Yes, we are looking at AI like everybody is in terms of opportunities from a technology perspective, and obviously being a tech-driven, innovation-orientated bank, that's pretty important to us. I think where we're looking at it at the moment is how can AI help to streamline a service? So how can we help remove friction? And obviously bear in mind we're actually quite real time today. So we're kind of trying to go that step further in how do we use AI effectively and safely to improve the user experience through reducing friction. And so that's where we're looking at kind of more targeted deployments of AI and how it can help us in the business outcome that we're looking to achieve. I'll call it rather than AI for AI's sake.
We already know that fintech is a sector which is quite challenging for females or more males. And then we have you, who is the UK CEO, female, and also for such a big ClearBank as a fintech. So what are your tips? And are there any personal challenges which you face at some point of time in the initial part of your inclusion in the fintech industry? And are there any tips or advice you would like to give to the females in this sector?
Yes, I don't think there's any kind of silver bullet to changing any of this. I think it's lots of different activities that come together. I'm really proud that I'm the exec co-sponsor for Women in Finance, our Women in Finance participation and our DEI efforts. And I think that's really important in terms of both attracting female talent into fintech more broadly and into financial services.
And how does one do that?
It depends on the organisation, but it could be through partnerships with external firms. It could be about looking at your hiring experience. So how do you make sure that you minimise bias in the process? It could be through partnering with different organisations in terms of recruitment firms that have more of a focus on a broader portfolio of candidates. I think that's what I mean by there's no one silver bullet to it. There's lots of different things. that help to kind of nurture that talent. But providing an environment that people want to stay in is a really big part of supporting people more broadly and women into the industry. So I think there are kind of like, if there was advice, there's probably no one thing that I could say. I've been in the industry in financial services for over 20 years now. So I've seen a real change even in that 20 years over the environment, which is incredibly pleasing to see. What I will really look forward to is the day when we don't need to talk about it anymore because it's just there. And it's not something that we think about as different or unusual.
Okay, that's also a perspective. So what's the one word that describes the future of fintech?
Exciting.
That is. Biggest leadership lesson you have learned so far?
Hire great people and then trust them.
True, I completely agree. If you could instantly solve one major challenge in fintech tomorrow, what would that be?
Removing the barriers to scaling.
Yes, that's a very nice point. And what is the book that you're reading right now or last read?
So I actually just finished Conclave, which was very topical, right?
Amazing book. I love that one. Thank you so much, Emma. And thank you everyone for joining us for an episode with Emma of ClearBank. And we will come back to you with another episode at the IFGS itself. See you. This is Akansha Dimri signing off, from the editor and founder of Tech Funding News. Thank you.